Good morning. I think Signpost is the strangest application I've ever written. It's been a few busy days. The application's just been accepted into the Mac App Store, so I thought I'd go for a walk and tell you a little bit more about it. When I moved into my new house, we had a network for the first time with a proper managed switch, lots of devices on the network. I found myself with a problem that I couldn't remember all the IP addresses of all the devices on the network. And they all have websites, they all have little web servers built into them. Signpost was my solution so that I would never need to remember all those IP addresses. So Signpost is an application that lets you avoid having to remember IP addresses. And IP addresses are those things you type typically into the address bar of your browser, such as 192.168.0.1 or 10.0.02, or in case of IP6, some mammoth string of letters and numbers that is just inhumane. Signpost takes those and lets you replace them with human names. So, for example, in my case, like Wi-Fi.local is the name I've given to my Wi-Fi router. Or you can type in, say, associate the word switch with your switch on the network. Fairly obvious. You can have some fun with them and you can use internationalized domain names. Signpost is a Mac application that lets you publish multicast domain name system names on your local network. That sounds technical because it is technical. Let's kind of unpack that a bit for you. So, what's a domain name? I think that's a fairly good starting place. A domain name is what you type into Safari or your browser, and this is the thing that we understand as humans. So you might go to miln.eu and that's the domain name. There's a global system which takes miln.eu, turns it into a number, which the computers understand, and then the computer can find the appropriate server on the internet that hosts miln.eu. Local home networks don't have the luxury of using, typically, the global domain name system, but there is a local domain name alternative called multicast domain name service, or servers. Chances are you're fairly familiar with domain names just from browsing the internet. What you're probably not familiar with is that your local network can also have their own form of domain names. This is known in the Apple world as bonjour. In the more technical world, it's zero config or multicast domain name system, MDNS. The multicast domain name system is what Signpost works with. Signpost gives you domain names on your local network. So Signpost works with multicast DNS. It allows you to assign domain names to devices on your local network. It doesn't interact with the global system. It's ad hoc, meaning that it makes no permanent change to your network. When you quit Signpost, everything it's done vanishes from your network. It only affects your network while it's running. So Signpost can publish 3 types of domain name records. It can publish A records, Quad A records, and CNAME records. A records are for IP version 4 addresses, Quad A records are for IP version 6 records, and CNAMEs are for domains that redirect to another existing domain. You, though, as a user, don't need to know any of this. Signpost will take care of all the technical details. You just type in the device address that you want, be that IP4, IP6, or a device domain name, and Signpost will do the right thing. I wrote Signpost because it fitted a need that I had. I formalized Signpost into a proper Mac app because I think you might like it. I think you might have. Once you know what it can do, I suspect you'll find a use for it. It's a strange, bizarre, niche, but incredibly appealing little application. I've been writing Mac applications commercially for about 20 years now, and over that time a lot has changed. But because I put quite a lot of emphasis on supporting older versions of macOS, I often can't adopt the very latest technologies or the latest approaches. So with Signpost, I took it as kind of a little personal challenge to see if I could write a modern Mac app that used all the latest bits and pieces, took no concessions for supporting old versions of macOS, and to sort of see what had changed. And that's been quite a learning curve. There's a lot of, when you start a new application, you often go back to your previous one and mine it for all the sort of standard bits and pieces that you need for a Mac application. With Signpost, I didn't do that. I'm going uphill now. I'm going the wrong way. It's a sunny but fairly cool winter's day here in France. They're cutting all the hedges in the local area, and they've got these tractors going around these small lanes, just shredding the hedges. It's kind of terrifying when they pass. Trying to keep out of their way. With Miln Signpost, I did know to start with one thing, and that's if you want to start a new Mac app, you really must focus on AppleScript support first. Not because AppleScript's the most important thing, but it's one of the hardest things to retrofit into an application. If you get the data model wrong, AppleScript can be a nightmare to reverse engineer into it. So of course I should mention that Signpost naturally supports AppleScript and Automator. No command line access for Signpost. What you can do is you can use the OSA script command line tool and script the application for the command line that way. If you find yourself liking Miln Signpost and want to help support it, please purchase a subscription. That'll help me justify the risk and the time and the effort it takes to both create and maintain these applications. And I'd love to hear how you use it. Feel free to drop me an email at support@miln.eu. Just getting an idea of how you use it would be really useful to me. I think it's a bit esoteric as an application, but if you're out there and it scratches an itch, solves a problem for you, please let me know. Signpost is available now on the Mac App Store. You can find it at miln.eu/signpost. It's free to try. You can publish a sign with no cost and that'll be free forever. If you want to publish multiple signs, you'll need to buy a subscription. Those can be bought in application, and that's all handled through the standard App Store mechanism.